Previously on I Played Every Dreamworks game and ranked them. Is going to wrap it up for this video. Now, I know you're probably asking, there's a lot more Dreamworks games to cover. Yes, indeed, there is. But this video is kind of a new test video. I'm testing out the waters, playing all these games, and ranking them. So if you guys enjoyed this content, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. It's safe to say that you guys definitely enjoyed that video. It popped off when I definitely did not expect it to, and the comment section was loaded with, did you know that you missed this game? OMG, this game was here. You didn't actually list every single... Yes, guys, I know. I should have put that disclaimer at the beginning of the video. Sorry if I felt like clickbait, but I couldn't have time to put every single damn Dreamworks game out there. But I did promise y'all that if the video got the traction that I wanted it to, we were going to get a part 2. And that's exactly what we're going to do today, baby. We're coming out, we're going to do I Play Every Dreamworks Game and rank them Part 2. We literally just got through the tip of the iceberg, okay, maybe the halfway point of it, but still, we still got plenty of Dreamworks games to go around and play. And without further ado and wasting any more time, let's just jump right into it. Now, where we last left off in the previous video, I touched on Flushed Away, which was a very mediocre game, but that was the last Dreamworks game, and the next in line was Shrek the Third, released all the way in 2007. Now, for those of you that know, Shrek the Third is not exactly the best movie in the franchise. But what if I told you that the video game was not the best, but far from the worst in the franchise? The video game came out pretty much at the same time the movie had released in theaters, and it's so hard to describe this game, because out of the other two Shrek games that have been released, this game really feels like it's the most put together one. I mean, it's a level-to-level basis, much like the second one is, but it just doesn't feel like a hot mess. It feels like an actual movie-based video game than what we had in the first two. For some reason, the first two just felt like great value versions, and it wasn't actually Shrek. It was some kind of knockoff version of it. But this game, as the premise, feels a lot better than the other two. Now, that's not to say the game entirety is an upgrade, as this game it's a complete freaking mess. That's all I could say about that. Literally, the controls in this game can be kind of shitty at times, and guess what? The speed problem that we had from the first game, for some reason, was brought back into this game. Every time you're running somewhere, it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour. Now, the camera does keep up with the characters, but it's still ridiculously fast. Throughout this game, you're going to play mainly as Shrek for a majority of this game, but there are other characters you could play as, like Fiona for a few stages, Puss in Boots, one of the princesses that got locked in that jail. Now, the controls in this game are relatively simple. You're literally just running, jumping, punching enemies, opening up crates, punching boxes. It's just trying to get from point A to point B. There really isn't anything wrong with the controls per se. However, the camera work in this game could definitely suck from time to time. For some reason, it works against you instead of with you. Like, you could be off really far away from the camera, and instead of it getting closer to you, it just gets back further and further to the point to where you don't even know what the hell you're doing. And that gets very repetitive after a while. And like I said, the controls aren't terrible, but they also aren't the best either. The combat controls are very simple. You just smash the same button until your character runs out of combo moves. Literally, every character has their own I wouldn't even call it a combo. It's just a basic attack, and once you get to the end of that attack, you just got to start all over again, assuming it even works with the camera work that for some reason still doesn't want to follow you. And every now and then, the game will just kind of just glitch. Like, it'll just randomly, get buggy, and the frame rate will kind of drop, tremendously, and for no reason. Now, if I had to point out some of the good things about this game, I could say that the environments are not that terrible, honestly. And the first two games, every environment was so ugly. It was just disgusting, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to watch. However, in this game, it really isn't that bad, honestly. I mean, yeah, sure, there are some maps in this game that are definitely not in the movie, but they're still pretty well done. This game was released in 2007, and of course was released on the next-gen consoles like Xbox 360 and PlayStation 2 and 3. While that is definitely an upgrade to be on some of the next-gen consoles, it doesn't excuse anything, as I feel like every game should look gorgeous like that, but compared to what the other two had, this is actually a pretty decent game. Now, the funniest part, I'd say, of this game, hands down, easily has got to be the voice acting. Now, like I said, it is very, very, very rare that you see anybody from a movie, show, or anything like that that goes on to the video game and voices that same character, especially in movies. Now, Mike Myers is a very expensive character, Cameron Diaz, Eddie Murphy, the list goes on. And obviously, none one of those two characters were present in the first two games, but what about this one? Let's hear this voice.
It's not weed rats, donkey. They're jocks. Now be quiet.
Yeah, I'll get right on that, because I really care about your final exam. Fine, what are the rules?
I'm sorry. Anytime I hear a Shrek impersonation, and definitely anything that's not Mike Myers, it's really just hilarious because there's only one guy that's ever going to nail that role, and it's Mike Myers. Similar to Gru in Despicable Me, no one is ever going to be able to master the accent of that character except for the voice actor of that character. But it is funny to see other people try. But I haven't even gotten to the best fake voice ever. In this movie featured Artie, which was, I think, the son or grandson of the prince. I don't really remember. The movie was ass. But he was voiced by Justin Timberlake. Obviously, they did not get him to be in this game. But let's hear what he sounds like.
You wouldn't want to bring back somebody who failed siege warfare, would you? Knock down his towers before time runs out.
Yeah, not even remotely close to what Justin Timberlake sounds like. They weren't even trying with this one. And I really feel like it's not that difficult to voice a kid, but these guys went completely out of their way to miss that voice completely. Like, they didn't even hear what Justin Timberlake sounded like. I don't expect anybody to sound exactly just like the other ones, but some kind of effort would have been nice. Another really annoying facet of this game is there's one little sound effect that always pops up whenever you collect these little blue orbs, and it's stuck in my head even while voicing over this video. Playing this game got it stuck in my head to the point where I can't get it out. Just listen to it. I literally can't put my finger on what that sounds like. I really wish I could, but I have genuinely no idea what it reminds me of, but it will not leave my head, and it's been haunting me ever since I've played this game. So thanks, Shrek the Third. If there's anything that's actually worse than the actual voicing itself, it's the character models, and for some reason, that was not an upgrade in this game. Just look at these terrible models. They look completely lifeless, like they don't even want to be there, and they're not even real people. These just feel really poorly put together and really just half-assed all around. And I really am disappointed in that because you took the time to make these pretty decent levels, these pretty decent stages, and you couldn't even take the time to at least make the character models look like they give a shit or just bring some kind of life to them. They're just so dull and boring. That was one thing that Shrek 2 had that was honestly a positive, was that when you looked at the characters and how they spoke and interacted with each other, it looked like they were actually trying there. And this game, you could barely even see their mouths moving whenever they're speaking. It literally just opens like yop, 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 yop. There was no effort whatsoever put in that category. And if anything, this might have been the very last thing that they worked on and hit a deadline. It was like, fuck it. Just put whatever you could find in there. If it looks stupid, then it looks stupid. The movie's stupid, let's just try to make this look stupid. And it's a complete downgrade from the previous ones. I'd even go as far as to say they look very similar to the original Shrek game. And that's definitely not a flex, and that's not a compliment. That's fucking trash. The last really disquality I'd find for this game, and I think this is really kind of making it a stretch, and it's based on your own opinion, but the game isn't multiplayer. And I really don't agree with that, because Shrek 2 was a very fun multiplayer game. It did the best with what it was given. And in this movie, you got 4 characters that are on screen the majority of the movie, and half of the screen time is Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots. So if you would have made this game at least 2-player, not 4, but 2-player, that maybe would have made the game a little bit more enjoyable. And that really is saying something, because I don't dislike this game. I genuinely think it's a good game, and we're going to get into that in a second. But I really feel like they did a lot of people disjustice by not making this multiplayer and having at least a companion or something play with you. But that's just me. Now, I'm kind of done talking about the disqualities of this game, and I want to jump into some of the good ones. Because honestly, the game is not nearly as bad as some previous ones mentioned on here. For starters, like I said, the levels are gorgeous, the environments are absolutely beautiful, and I truly adore all of these. And the voice acting may be terrible, but the game itself is not bad. Sure, it's a 3D beat-em-up game, but that's a very enjoyable game. And in here, it just feels like such an upgrade from the other two. Like, it's not open world, but you feel a lot more free. And the first game, you were constricted by the game's stupid controls and horrible environments. And in the second one, it felt like you were constricted by the other three people you were playing with. Even if you were just playing with bots, you literally could not compete anything unless they were there. In this one, you're free to do whatever you want, and you could get to the end of the stage on your own, don't have to wait for anybody, and nothing is dragging you down. So I think that's a really big advantage for this game. And the movie definitely was not enjoyable, but if you want to find any kind of little diamond in the rough in terms of Shrek the Third, I'd honestly say go to this game right here. Is it the best Dreamworks game we've had on this list? No, far from it. But it's also very, very, very far from the worst game that we've seen on this list. It's an upgrade from the first two Shrek games. It's very enjoyable, and if you didn't enjoy the story, they also have a lot of fun mini games that I also didn't touch on, but are actually incredibly fun to play. So if you really want to find something good about Shrek the Third, I would dive into this game. And for the ranking, I would give this a C tier. This game is not terrible, but it's also not the best either. There was a lot more work that could have been put into this game to make it just a slight bit more enjoyable. But honestly, it's not a terrible game, and I would recommend it. If you didn't like the movie and you want to find something, just play this game. Now, the same cannot be said for the next movie, and that's B-Movie. Dear God, if anybody remembers B-Movie, you remember that growing up as a child, you probably thought it was a really good movie, kind of got a little boring towards the end, but had a great premise. But as an adult, the plot for this movie is absolutely ridiculous and completely stupid, and the only people that would like it is children, which obviously is what Dreamworks was aiming for. Now, what about the game? Dear God, no. Oh my gosh, like this, this game is hilariously bad. When I say hilariously bad, I kind of put that with a grain of salt because I don't think it's as bad as I'm hyping it up to be, but at the same time, it's not a very good game. It's very interactive. It's something a little bit different than what we've seen in previous ones, but regardless, it's still a movie game, so you already know exactly what it's going to be like before you even play it. The plot follows exactly the same plot line as the movie, literally exactly the same, except it's shown in Barry B. Benson's perspective as it's told on the news station where he's being interviewed. So, kind of a storyline game, but whatever. Now, whenever a game follows a movie's plot, one or two things can happen. Number one, it could be extremely boring because you just seen exactly what happened in the movie and you don't want to replay that in a video game. Or two, it could be a little bit more creative and it could expand the world in a way that you didn't imagine and go into different levels that you played in the movie and be like, oh shit, that'd have been fun if he's doing that in a video game. Well, B-Movie kind of does option B, where it's like, it's very creative, but at the same time kind of annoying, if that really makes any sense whatsoever. There's only so much you could do with a video game about a movie about Jerry Seinfeld voicing a bee that wants to sue the human race because they're taking away the honey, and finds a human that's dumb enough to join him in the court case, wins that court case, and reverse everything that he had just done. Yeah, that just sounds kind of silly, just like as I said it, but the game kind of expands that and brings a little bit of justice for what the movie couldn't bring. Now, one thing that I really do like and appreciate of this game is the gameplay style and how it works. You see, not every single level is exactly the same. As stupid as that sounds, just hear me out. A majority of games follow a very simple premise throughout a majority of the game. B-Movie does not do that. In this game, you're either riding in a car, you're flying around a city, you're just shooting things. There's multiple different things that you can be doing in this game. And I think that's a really nice touch-up compared to a lot of other video games in here. It makes it more interactive and more creative. It's basically option B from what I took earlier whenever I said, damn, that looks like fun. Imagine if I was playing that in a video game, like the scene where he's dodging water droplets in the rain. Well, we're doing just that right here. So I'll give it an A+ for that one, at least. And the gameplay really isn't buggy. It's not too terrible. The controls listen to what exactly it is that you want to do. So honestly, there's nothing really to complain about in that category. One thing that is different from different games that we've played is in the bottom right corner, we have a little map icon. Now, I know that sounds kind of low and it sounds kind of silly that I'm even bringing this up, but to be honest with you, it brings it more of an open world environment that we haven't seen in previous games. I mean, how many games do you play that they actually had a map indicating exactly where you were going besides any superhero games? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, it's a very minor little thing that was added to there. Don't hate on me for that, but I find it to be kind of creative. There's maps that you use to get from point A to point B, which is really creative. You're either flying or, like I said, you're driving in a car. Now, there really isn't a lot of high stakes when you're driving in a car, besides, of course, watching out for the other people driving, and even then, if you hit them, it really isn't that big a deal, but I find that to be, a little funny at the same time, but also not too terrible. And I'll even go as far as to saying there is one thing that really, really impressed me about this game, and that's the voice acting. Now, I have taken it upon myself to make it a trend to mock every single game for not bringing the movie voice actor into the game and also making fun of the person that voices him. But to my disbelief, in this game, they actually got Jerry Seinfeld to voice Barry B. Benson also in a video game.
When he has to ask himself what he's made of. Is there something more?
So you had an itch?
Well, I'm not sure it was an itch exactly. There was definitely some tingling, bordering on a Jones, but a little short of a yen.
I literally don't care what you think about the movie or anything. Jerry Seinfeld's voice is freaking iconic, and I could not have found a better guy to voice that beat. Regardless of anything, argue with the wall. Anyway, we got all the good things about this game out of the way. Now let's dive into some of the things that kind of ruins this game for everybody. And this is the biggest part of it all. It is not a fun game whatsoever. Honestly, like I said, it's creative. It puts you in moments in the game that you didn't think you'd be able to play out from what you saw in the movie. But at the same time, it is repetitively boring. A majority of this game, you're going to find yourself driving in this dumb car. And it's fun when you first start it, but eventually it gets a little old. And some of the mini stages and missions that you're going to play in this game just either don't really add up with what's going on or doesn't want to listen to you. Like the flying one right here, this is definitely fun, but what the hell am I doing right here? It's like I'm waiting. I don't know if I'm about to die. I'm waiting for the controls to pop up like this one right here. It'll randomly just jump scare you out of nowhere when you really, really, really want it to just not do that. Gameplay and controls aren't necessarily an issue, to be honest with you, but at the same time, it's just a game that feels like it's never going to end, and it doesn't feel like it has any reward once you eventually do beat it. It's creative, it's goofy, and that's just like the movie, but there's only so much you could do with a really shitty movie when you're going to make a video game off of it. So it's not like you can go off of an interesting story and just base it off of that and be like, ooh, I can't wait to play that level in the game. Like I said, creative and different levels each time, but a majority of these levels are just very boring. Like this one, for example, what you're watching right now, we're literally just pushing random buttons. You're not doing a whole lot in this stage. Is it cool that you're doing this? Yes, but I'm pressing Y for what? To hang on to a damn antenna? Like, does that make any sense whatsoever? It just kind of sounded silly to me, and it gets kind of boring after a while. Maybe back in the day, whenever this movie first came out, and I was a young little child, maybe I would have found some kind of enjoyment or some entertainment out of this game. But what the hell am I doing right here? How often in the movie do we even see the bees actually working in the factory? It's mentioned a lot, and you see it every now and then, but it's not a main factor in the movie, unfortunately. And then whenever you're not playing a stage, you're literally walking around the hive trying to find a stage to do, which brings it a more open world environment, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's also one of those that doesn't tell you what's the next step. You literally just have to guess it. How annoying is that? As a child, I was kind of stupid, and when it came to open world games, I disliked them because I didn't know what to do. I preferred a level-to-level game where you didn't have to do anything besides exactly what the game was telling you to do. Don't put it in my hands. Don't let me control my own fate in this game, because I'm just going to keep running around in circles not knowing where to go or what to do. And then sadly, upon trying to get to the next stage, you find yourself in this damn car again, driving around, trying to figure it out. That's like in Spider-Man, instead of you web-slinging across the entire city, you're just driving in a Pizza Hut car, delivering pizzas instead. Now, would that be fun? No. That would kind of just take the joy right out of it. And God, it's just it just gets so old after a while. And I hate that I'm barking on this game so much because I was kind of hyping it up at the beginning of this video, but the more I dug deeper into it and the more that I played this game, I just found myself bored, and just could not wait to the end point of this game to finally get it over with. So with all that being said, it's going to come down now to the tier list. What exactly am I going to rank this fun, creative, yet boring game? I'm going to give it another C ranking. I know, I just gave Shrek the Third a C ranking. I know, I totally understand that, but this game is creative, and it's definitely trying in some categories, but at the same time, it just feels like the game can't get out of its own way. And compared to some other ones in here, that's a very generous ranking. It's kind of a blessing, and I really do kind of find disrespecting it, putting it as a C, but I don't see any case scenario where I put it anywhere higher, so a C is where it's going to be. Now, as fun, creative, and boring, if that makes any sense, as this game was, it's definitely nothing compared to the next one we're going to touch on, and that's Kung Fu Panda. Now, Kung Fu Panda was a awesome movie. If you haven't seen it yet, first of all, leave the cave that you're currently living in and go watch this damn movie. What the hell are you doing? Did you not have a childhood? I'm sorry, I just had to rant for a second. However, Kung Fu Panda is a genuinely amazing movie. It's an amazing trilogy / fourth movie, whatever the hell it is. It's one of Dreamworks' greatest creations outside of Shrek. I genuinely enjoy all the movies. And when the first movie came out, I was a really, really big fan of it. And I didn't even know there was a video game that came out of it till not long after I bought it at Blockbuster when it was for sale, and you didn't see that very often. However, upon playing this game, I realized that it was pretty much just as good as the movie itself. It's really, really hard to screw up a game where you're playing as a panda that knows Kung Fu. I mean, that's the prototypical children's movie and video game, and I really feel like they get that just perfectly right in this game. The main character of the movie is Po, and throughout the movie you do see other characters around, like the Furious Five, but you don't really get to see them too much for them to become a main part of the movie. Unfortunately, you are only playing as Po in this game, which really sucks. I really wish we could have been able to play as some of the other characters in there. And you can play as them, just not in the main story, rather in multiplayer mode, which is kind of a battle royale type event. And it's definitely not a bad one, but I'd rather play as them in the main storyline. Unfortunately, Po is the only playable character. Like I said, I guess that does make sense considering he is the main character of the movie. So, the basics of this game is exactly like the movie. Every single level corresponds as to what is happening in the movie. The very first level of the game, you're playing as Po in his dream. And it's really cool because he's a dragon warrior in this dream, and he has that costume that he's wearing in the original dream, which I find to be really cool. Now, this game's storyline takes apart the exact same thing as the movie, which I definitely, like I said, can respect that. A majority of Dreamworks games follow the exact same storyline as the movie, not adding anything new, not adding anything stupid, any side quests, nothing like that. Now, you could be the judge on that and whether or not you think that's a really good aspect to a game or you think that's a downfall. Me personally, I like it because I don't like to play shit in a video game that I didn't see in the movie. I want to be able to interact with the scenes that we've seen in the movie, and we get to do just that here in Kung Fu Panda. Now, the biggest key aspect for this game was obviously the combats. I mean, this is called Kung Fu Panda, for fuck's sake. I mean, this is literally a martial arts movie, so this should make for an absolutely perfect game, right? Yes and no. You see, it would absolutely be that if the game didn't sometimes try to be a platforming game, and it's very messy. The camera work, for some reason, doesn't want to follow you everywhere that you go. If for some reason it starts to kind of glitch out and lag once you're playing it, I guess that might just be my PC or somebody else's, I don't know. But a lot of gameplay footage that I've seen, it's just lagging. And as you see right here, it's like, what the hell is happening? I'm trying to get on over here, it's just not working. And I just did this big jump. I think I landed on that. Either way, the platforming in this game is just pretty terrible, and there are going to be certain aspects in the game, just like this one, where you literally have to do it or you can't get to the next stage, and that really does suck. So even though the combat controls are honestly really cool, which I guess we haven't got into that yet, it still just kind of overlooks the fact that it sucks the platforming. And as I mentioned for the platforming, also the same can be said for the camera work. The camera work is, like I said, bad, and much like the Shrek game earlier, it just tries to go against you. You want it to go one way, and it's just not happening. Now, I totally understand that there are certain parts of each stage that the camera intentionally has to point in that certain area, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but just gets a little bit repetitive at times and just horrible. See, I'm trying to jump up here on top to this little thing, and it's just not working. And then I get to this random coin that I didn't even know was up here. Found that on accident, by the way. And it's like, oh, congratulations, you found a random coin. It's like, how am I supposed to know that that coin was even up there to begin with? I'm trying to literally get on this ledge, and it's just not working out. So even though the combat's really good, the repetitiveness of this game is going to be the really, really just poor platforming. And that's the part that really sucks for me, because unfortunately, a majority of this game is based off of that. Now, it's not just that. There are obviously different obstacles and areas that you're going to have to go through where it's not just platforming and it's more or less just skill and basic knowledge. And I could definitely respect that out of the game. But, man, I just want to be fighting bad guys. Man, I want to be jumping from rooftop to rooftop and flying. I'm Poe, not Spider-Man. Now, one aspect I'd say of this game that I think is absolutely beautiful is the environments, man. These levels, I think, perfectly capture exactly what we've seen in the movie and transpire it into the video game world. Is literally, that's all you could freaking ask for in a movie game, man. You'd think that'd be such an easy task, but for some reason, a majority of these games are trash and just don't feel the need to do that. Thankfully, Kung Fu Panda is not one of those, as they really did really good, not only in the designs of the levels, but look at the characters, dude. These are looking flawless, honestly. I mean, they obviously are video game characters, but you can't tell that while looking at them, okay? This looks like a very well put together game, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And as crazy as it sounds, the only negative parts that I can really find of this game is the bad platforming, bad camera work, and I'd say one more is maybe that some of these stages get a little boring. Like, for example, this one. Now, there are very high stakes because you are obviously timed and you have to fight these things, but it just gets kind of old after a while. It feels like a majority of this game, you're playing these little side missions that it's like, why am I doing this? What is the point of this? And it really doesn't add on to the game or anything like that outside of the fact that you need to do it to advance. I'd say that is a problem, absolutely. But everything outside of that, I'd say it's a pretty fun and enjoyable game. All right, now let's get on to the good aspects of this game, because believe me, there's a lot of them. Like I said, the character designs, the level designs, both are just chef's kiss. They're just absolutely beautiful, man. You can absolutely tell that they took a lot of time and a lot of really talented workers to get this game looking as pretty as it is compared to other ones. And I'm not saying other games are absolutely terrible for designs, but I mean, look, dude, they put in some effort for this freaking game, and you can clearly see that by everything that's happening in here. The people that put this game together, I can honestly say, watch the movie for starters, and I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but compared to some of these other games, it feels like they didn't even know what the movie was. They were just given some concept art and say, here, go to town. However, for the Kung Fu Panda game, it looks like they actually put in some fucking effort into here, and that's all I can ask for in a damn video game. The combat, man, let's get into that. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's exactly what we could have asked for. I truly love all the combat in this game, with either it's fighting Tai Lung or fighting different enemies, man. It's absolutely gorgeous and just so beautiful, and it just makes this game that much more fun and true to its nature. Now, they're able to master the art of Kung Fu in a video game. They're able to master the art of level design, character designs, and honestly just developing a really solid game. What about the voice acting? Now, we all know in my videos, this is a very important part. Did they get Jack Black to voice Poe? No. They did not. Unfortunately, they did not. But listen to some of this voice acting. It's actually very solid and very similar to what we get from Jack Black.
Timeless time when mystical warriors roam the land, the most awesome kung fu fighters in all of China, the Furious Five, protected the Valley of Peace.
Find worthy foes and bring peace to the village. Great work, son! Who knew you would be such a kung fu master?
Well, look who made it. Not bad. For a panda, I mean.
Thanks, Master Monkey. Wow, I just thanked Master Monkey.
But that last room was a mere warm-up for this one. I'd like to see you break my record.
Yeah, so the voice acting, it's not the worst, but it's not the best. It's down the middle, at least for Poe. Even though it's not Jack Black voicing Poe, I still find that to be a very accurate voice of what we had. Everybody else, yeah, it's just completely off whatsoever. But if that's the worst that could come out of it, I'm going to take that as a W. So we've pretty much simmed down the entirety of this game. So what exactly would I rank it? Well, you're going to be a little shocked in this one. I'd give this game an A rank on the tier list. I think that it does a lot of things right. I think it's a very enjoyable game, very accurate to the movie itself. The movie is already a banger as it is, so why not produce a game that's also a banger? And that's exactly what they did. This game is absolutely worth trying. I absolutely would recommend it if you enjoyed the movie, and yeah, hell of a game. Alright, now, I don't think I'm going to be saying the same thing about this next game. The next game that came out was in the same year of 2008, but was definitely not as high praise, and that was Madagascar Escape to Africa. Now, this Madagascar game is incredibly similar to the other one. First of all, I think it's extremely ugly, just like the other one was, but this is one of those games that you kind of just have to accept it for what it is before you even start playing it. I mean, it's a Madagascar game. It's really not made to make any sense. The movie itself was already kind of mid, so I didn't expect much for the video game. And the low expectations that I had for the movie also transpired into the game. So if you go into there expecting something great, you're going to be disappointed. But if you go into the game expecting exactly what you saw from the movie, well, it's going to be a pretty enjoyable game for you. This is a very odd game because it's very different in terms of style and playthrough. You see, a majority of these other games have level-to-level basis, and it follows along with the movie. This game does not really do that. It, of course, has characters from the movie in it, sure, but it doesn't do a level-to-level basis. It's literally just an extravagance of mini-games. That's all it is. There's no mainline levels. You're doing so many different things throughout this game, and yeah, that's kind of an upgrade, I guess, but it's also very annoying. Like, there's not the same thing every single level. Now, of course, you're valued to your own opinion, and you can base it off of whatever you want, but for me, that just seems kind of silly to me. I'd prefer level to level like the other ones. Now, to the game's credit, you do play as every single mainline character that you see in the movie. It's just that they all take on different levels and different genres of gameplay. Not one is exactly the same compared to the other one. And I mean, whether that's a good thing, whether that's a bad thing, that's for you to decide. I just think it's a very, very risky move when developing a game, and it's a very odd choice, but I guess that's just me. My favorite easily was the Penguins levels. I absolutely love playing as the Penguins. They're my favorite characters, not only throughout the movie, but also in their own little spin-off movie. But in this game, the Penguins are absolutely my favorite to play as. Like I said, playing as all the mainline characters is fun, but it gets a little boring after a while once you realize that every character has different moves and motives. I just don't think that this game is really meant to be taken seriously. I think whenever they were developing this, it was kind of just like, let's make a fun and interactive and creative little game for a movie that really didn't have a lot of thought put into it. It was really just made for kids and just a cash cow. And I hope they did the exact same thing for this game because it definitely mimics everything of what I just said. Now, even with all that being said, this is still somewhat of a fun game. Some of these mini games are very intriguing, some of them are very fun, and like I said, playing as the main characters for all of them and having different ones definitely sheds a light to the game that I didn't think it was going to have. And it's not a terrible game by any stretch, but one that I feel like could be better. One of the biggest issues I have with this game is, like I said, how ugly the character designs are. For some reason, they did absolutely nothing of what Kung Fu Panda did in terms of beautiful levels and beautiful character designs. Like, I mean, just look at the level that we're in right now. It literally looks like it was half-assed. Like, you can't tell me this is a fully developed level. I mean, just look at the background. It's hideous. It's ugly. And every single character looks like they're just about 50% done and not 100% done. And that's a very big factor because I don't hate playing ugly ass games like this. Like this character model, what the hell is happening here? The Penguins don't even know they're part of the game. Their mouths are barely even moving whenever they're speaking. It doesn't correspond with what they're saying whatsoever. It honestly looks like I'm playing a PC port of this game, and I'm not. I mean, I'm running an emulator, but it was supposed to be played on like the Nintendo Wii, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense for why it's such a low quality version. Granted, it is the Wii, but all the consoles that this was released on were low quality things, so couldn't even try to match that a little bit and try to upgrade it, but whatever. And like I said, another big aspect is the voice acting. And I can tell you right now, they did not get the voice actors from the original movie onto this game. But they're not terrible, but I'll give you a listen. See what you think.
I'm having that dream again.
This is no dream, my friend. King Julian is alive and well and taking pictures for our new brochure, Madagascar. Why not give King Julian your vacation money?
Yeah, sure. Sounds great. But I need to catch some shut-eye before the big trip back to New York.
Whoa, I never seen so many enemy reptiles during peacetime. Work. A fine example of lizard extermination and teamwork. Just when you think it's over, I send you back in. Being on point means taking one for the team.
Hey, this looks oddly familiar.
That's right. Private's gonna catch some fish to feed the hungry masses. You can either watch, or stay out of the way, or both.
Sure, I'll watch. After all, I'm one of the hungry masses myself.
No, no shut eyes. Now run, jump, do whatever I tell you to do if you want to make the cover.
Yeah, so the voice acting actually isn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. It's actually pretty decent, and they're very good representations of what we've seen from the movie itself. With that being said, is that going to save this game for being what it is? No, absolutely not. The game still has to be somewhat good and fun and enjoyable before I judge anything else. Voice acting, of course, like I said, is a main part of mine, but not everybody else's. A majority of this game is going to be sent right here in this hub, like what you're seeing. You're going to different characters and asking them to do various different missions. Like, for example, this one right here. The penguins are just sitting here with a fishing pole. So can you guess what we're doing? Yeah, that's right. We're going fishing. Yeah, it's a very interactive, a little crazy, if we're being honest with each other, you know, but whatever. The game just doesn't really follow a storyline, honestly, of the movie. It's just an interactive world that we see from the movie. And like I tacked on in previous ones, whether you like that or not, it's completely up to you. I do like that they did a different route compared to different games that we've mentioned in here, and not just going along with the story. Granted, like I said, characters and familiar places, all from the movie itself, but in terms of its story, it's kind of its own little thing. Doesn't go too far out of its way, but lets you interact with different places that you see in the movie that you didn't get to see or play. And I will say, it is definitely kind of fun not knowing the next level that you're going to play, what standard it's going to be as, what character you're going to do it as. That is kind of a thrilling edge that the game does bring along to itself, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, am I going to enjoy this minigame? Is it going to be fun, or is it going to be outrageously stupid? That's completely up to you, and it's a little creative, but it's also kind of concerning on where you're going. Oh, and you can also select whatever character that you want periodically throughout the game. Of course, the 4 main characters that you see in the movie, at any point in time, you can change them and do different things. Now, obviously, certain minigames require certain characters that you can only play as them as, which definitely is a cool thing, but at the same time, it's a little crazy. All in all, this game is a little buggy, a little crazy, ugly in designs, but I gotta say, it does look like they tried just a little bit, just not enough for me to say that this is actually a good game. So on the tier list, I would give this game a C. I don't think it's an absolutely terrible game, and if anything, it's somewhat enjoyable at times, but at the same time, you gotta accept this game for what it is, and it's just a movie-based game where they didn't put a whole lot of effort into it. No offense to any of the developers, it's just, wow, this game just looks incredibly half-assed. Is it fun? Sure. Is it enjoyable? Yeah. Was it a pain to play? No, not at all. Well, maybe just a little bit. But the point is, this game's going to get a C on the tier list. Could have been better, could have been worse. You be the judge of that. And unfortunately, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I know, I played even more, and I didn't get to finish it. But I don't want to take too much, you guys. I mean, this video is almost 40 minutes as it is. There will be a finale video to this game. There's only like 5 more games left to play, so I'm literally at the halfway point of here, almost done with this. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the like button, comment down below what games you thought were fun, which games you grew up playing as a child, if this game gives you any nostalgia whatsoever, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.